जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे कृष्णा, हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री नाम संकीर्तन की जय। If it's fine from your side, then otherwise I'll continue reading. Yeah.
Yeah, Krishna Kesavu, our camera has started working,
Okay.
and
I'll hand it over back so you can do Mangla, Premadhwani and Manglacharan. Yeah.
yes, true.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Nitai, Nitai.
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकचार्य स्तोत्र सत श्री श्रीमदभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की
जय
जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकचार्य स्तोत्र सत श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की
जय
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की
जय
नामाचार्य शिल हरिदास ठाकुर की
जय
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की
जय
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपी गो श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की
जय
वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की
जय
मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की
जय
गंगा माई की
जय
यमुना माई की भक्ति
जय
देवी की
जय
तुलसी देवी की
जय
समवेता भक्त वृंद की
हरे
समवेता भक्त
कृष्णा
वृंद की
हरे कृष्णा
समवेता भक्त वृंद
हरे
की
कृष्णा
गौर प्रेमानंदे
हरे गौर
हरि 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 बोल।
इस तरफ रखने से वायरस करूंगा। हरे कृष्णा प्रभु।
हरे कृष्णा
Am I audible?
यस प्रभु
Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
धन्यवाद ऑल गुरुज जय श्री
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, all the devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna. So, let us start first without wasting any time. Om Agyan, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिविकासस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So we're reading from the book Jai Shri Prabhupada, page number 72. Peaceful. The consciousness of a pure devotee is peaceful like the ocean. Sometimes the ocean becomes greatly agitated, but only on the surface. From just a few feet below its surface down to the unfathomable depths. One second. I need to keep it like this. The ocean is always still and calm. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada was active and busy and sometimes became angry like fire. But inside, he was calm and still. His consciousness peaceful and steady, fixed on the lotus feet of Krishna. The power of Srila Prabhupada's desire. A pure devotee is Satya Sankalpa. Whatever he desires is fulfilled by the grace of Krishna. He does not desire anything for his material benefit. If he desires anything, he simply desires to serve the Supreme Lord. That desire is fulfilled by the Lord's grace. No one asked Srila Prabhupada to come to America to preach. Indeed, when he first came, no one was very interested. But by Prabhupada's desire, ISKCON came into being. ISKCON is a manifestation of Prabhupada's desire that every living being in the universe be Krishna conscious. ISKCON exists for this reason only. As Mahavishnu's dream manifests as the material world, so Srila Prabhupada dreamt of a worldwide society of devotees, and Krishna made his dream a reality. Srila Prabhupada, I am simply dreaming, and you are actually on the field. Tamal Krishna, yes, but that's because we are in your dreams. If you weren't dreaming like this, we would be on the material field. Jadvaita. It's like Mahavishnu is lying down. The whole material world is being expanded by his dreaming. So you are lying down here, and the whole ISKCON activities are being expanded by your dreaming. The ideal leader. Srila Prabhupada once remarked that managing a spiritual movement is not easy. To be even an ordinary leader is difficult because it is not easy to keep others satisfied and inspired. And when things go wrong, as they will do, the leader must accept the blame. However, Prabhupada not only kept everyone satisfied and inspired, but things always went right when his instructions were followed. Devotees thus naturally developed confidence in his leadership. Srila Prabhupada inspired confidence, not just by talking, but by his very life. He never quit, even in the face of seemingly unsurmountable obstacles. He was never overcome by disappointment when setbacks occurred. He was ever willing to tackle problems. Although fixed in spiritual consciousness, he was not dreamily mystical. Rather, he was pragmatic and wise in the ways of the world. He knew what was needed to organize and spread a worldwide movement and was prepared to do whatever was necessary to get the job done. He led with strength, determination, charm, intelligence, conviction, and faith in the will of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada used to say that ISKCON was a pushing movement. This is the Parampara system. My Guru Maharaj pushed me, I am pushing you, and you are pushing others. It is like a train. Prabhupada did not make mistakes. One particularly remarkable feature of Srila Prabhupada is that he simply did not make mistakes. Mistakes in management cause many unnecessary difficulties, but Prabhupada did not make such mistakes. His ideas worked, even if in the beginning devotees could not understand them. Why? Devotees wondered. Should we build a temple in some remote rice fields in Mayapur? Why struggle to build a temple in Bombay when no one except Prabhupada seems to have much interest in it? Another program Prabhupada pushed his disciples into was book distribution. No one thought it was feasible. Distribute books, not possible. No one will buy them, the early disciples thought. But Prabhupada insisted, and the results were astonishing. Devotees gradually came to accept Prabhupada's judgment as infallible. They gradually realized that if they just did as he asked, even if it seemed impossible or impractical, the results would be wonderful. Devotees became aware that Srila Prabhupada had tremendous success potential, and that if they just tried to do what he wanted, they would be empowered and amazing things would happen. In management and in all practical affairs, his judgment was always correct. Even in the details of how he walked, talked, and lived in this world, Srila Prabhupada was perfect. For instance, if he slipped while walking, he would regain his posture in a most dignified manner. His dealings and mannerisms were always careful and grave. He was aristocratic, but never arrogant. His disciples were full of mistakes, and Prabhupada took the trouble to correct them again and again. It certainly would have been easier to have overlooked their minor faults. But as an ideal spiritual master, Prabhupada took it as his duty to accept all inconveniences in order to lead his disciples to perfection. As the founder Acharya of ISKCON, he set the standards for future generations of devotees. He did not simply let things glide. Srila Prabhupada pushed his leaders hard and sometimes strongly reprimanded them when they did not do things exactly as he wanted. And although he wanted everyone to work hard, he himself worked harder than anyone else. No one could reasonably claim that Srila Prabhupada was living comfortably at the expense of others. Devotees responded to Prabhupada because he believed in their sincerity and put faith in them even if they made mistakes. Although he consistently pushed his disciples to accomplish great tasks, he was grateful for any service rendered. Even when devotees slipped from the strict standard of behavior, Prabhupada was always ready to give them another chance. He was so expert that even when a devotee did not want to do something, Prabhupada would convince, cajole, or trick him into doing it. Then that devotee would feel blissful because he had done service for Krishna under Prabhupada's order. No one ever felt manipulated or exploited by Srila Prabhupada. His purity and concern for others was transparent. He offered everything to Krishna, never desiring anything for himself. Even when others praised him, Prabhupada remained humble, downplayed his own role, and gave all credit to his spiritual master. A practical philosopher. Srila Prabhupada was a philosopher, but practical also. For him, there was no difference between theory and practice, between philosophy and life. Whatever he spoke was meant to be practiced. Whatever he did was based on philosophy. The philosophy he gave was sound in theory and practically applicable in all circumstances. Prabhupada saw that nothing was separate from Krishna. He saw Krishna everywhere and in everything, and everything in Krishna. He wanted to engage everything and everybody in Krishna's service. Shlokas applicable to Srila Prabhupada. Many Sanskrit and Bengali verses praise the Supreme Lord by citing specific wonderful features of his activities, characteristics, personality, and so on. Many of these points recorded in scriptures can also be applied to Srila Prabhupada. Being a pure devotee, Prabhupada is qualitatively as good as God. And being a Sakya Vesha avatar, Shaktiavesh avatar, he performed superhuman activities inimitable by ordinary persons. Here are some selected verses praising the Supreme Lord that can also be applied to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Anarpita charim chirat karunaya vatirna kalau samarpayitum unnatojjvala rasam sab bhakti shriyam Hari Purata Sundara Dyuti Kadamba Sandipitaha Sada Hridaya Kandare Spuratu Vah Sachinandanaha. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, first chapter, shloka number 4. This verse describes Lord Chaitanya, who appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation had offered ever before, the most sublime and radiant spiritual knowledge of the mellow taste of his service. Lord Chaitanya brought that which had never been brought before, Krishna Bhakti, enriched with the ecstatic mellow of conjugal love. Because Lord Chaitanya is incomparably munificent, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami benedicts his readers, may that Sachi Nandana ever be manifest in the innermost chambers of your heart by bringing the unimagined treasure of Krishna consciousness to those who least deserved it. Srila Prabhupada has again manifested such munificence. Although the first lesson of Krishna consciousness, you are not that body, initially seemed too difficult for most Westerners to grasp, Prabhupada nevertheless gave us the full package of Krishna consciousness, replete with Lord Chaitanya's inner ecstatic sentiments. Therefore, may Srila Prabhupada ever be manifest in the innermost chambers of our hearts. भवन्तुमेवानुचरन् निरन्तरः प्रशान्तनिःशेषमनोरथान्तरः कदाहमैकान्तिकनित्यकिङ्करः प्रहर्ष्ययेष्यामि सनाथजीवितम्. By serving you constantly, one is freed from all material desires and is completely pacified. When shall I engage as your permanent eternal servant and always feel joyful to have such a fitting master? This beautiful prayer of Yamuna Acharya to Lord Narayana, Stotra Ratna 43, has often been quoted in Vyasa Puja offerings to Srila Prabhupada. It is also quoted in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, first chapter, shloka number 206, wherein Rupa Goswami submits himself to Lord Chaitanya. Srila Prabhupada often explained the difference between Sanatha, having a master, and Anatha, without a master. He explained that just as a dog without a master is unprotected, uncared for, and unhappy, so the conditioned souls, without recognizing Krishna as their master, remain like street dogs. Srila Prabhupada, before I met you, I was a miserable, dirty street dog. Now that I have you as my eternal spiritual master, I am completely satisfied. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham shravanamangalam shrimadatam bhuvigrinantiye bhurida jana. In this famous shloka, Srimad Bhagavatam, canto number 10, chapter 31, shloka number 9, the gopis say to Krishna, "My Lord, the nectar of your words and the descriptions of your activities are the life and soul of those suffering in this material world. These narrations are transmitted by exalted personalities and they eradicate all sinful reactions. Whoever hears these narrations attains all good fortune. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Those who spread the message of Godhead are certainly the most munificent welfare workers." Lord Chaitanya very much appreciated this verse, which can be applied to Srila Prabhupada in two ways. Number one, he is the most munificent because more than anyone else, he broadcast the message of Godhead all over the world. And number two, those who broadcast Prabhupada's words and descriptions of his activities are also munificent welfare workers because Prabhupada Katha, words spoken by or about him, are as good as Krishna Katha. Kali Kaler Dharma Krishna Nama Sankirtana Krishna Sakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartana. The fundamental religious system in the age of Kali is the chanting of holy name of Krishna. Unless empowered by Krishna, one cannot propagate the Sankirtan movement. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter number 7, shloka number 11. The Yuga Dharma is to collectively glorify Krishna, and that cannot be done without Krishna's mercy. Similarly, Prabhupada Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartan. Our endeavor to glorify Srila Prabhupada cannot be done from the material platform. Without his blessings, we cannot be successful. From Gajendra's prayers of surrender, Madrik Prapanna Pashupasha Vimokshanaya Muktaya Bhuri Karunaya Namolayaya Shvamsena Sarvatanubhrun Manasi Pratita Pratyak Trishe Bhagavate Brihate Namaste. Since an animal such as I has surrendered unto you, who are supremely liberated, certainly you will release me from this dangerous position. Indeed, being extremely merciful, you incessantly try to deliver me. By your partial feature as Paramatma, you are situated in the hearts of all embodied beings. You are celebrated as direct transcendental knowledge, and you are unlimited. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 8, chapter number 3, shloka number 17. Even though I am an animal, I have surrendered to Prabhupada, who is constantly trying to deliver me. Tyaktva sudishtyaja surepshita raja lakshmi dharmishta aryavachasaya dagadana aranyam maya mrigam daita yepsita anvadhavat vande mahapurushate charanaravindam. O Mahapurusha, I worship your lotus feet. You gave up the association of the goddess of fortune and all her fortune, which is most difficult to renounce and is hankered after by even the great demigods. Being the most faithful follower of the path of religion, you thus left for the forest in obedience to a Brahmana's curse. Out of sheer mercy, you chased after the conditioned souls who are always in pursuit of false enjoyment of illusion, and at the same time engaging in searching out your own desired object. Lord Shyamasundara. Shrimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 11, chapter number 5, shloka number 34. This verse states that Lord Chaitanya chases after the conditioned souls to deliver them. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada did not wait for anyone to come to him, but he spiritedly and aggressively went out to preach for Krishna. Traditionally, candidates for spiritual life submissively approach a guru, who then decides whether or not to accept them. But in Kali Yuga, no one wants to be a disciple. So spiritual masters have to canvass for candidates upon whom to bestow their mercy. And if their followers are not ideal or submissive, they have to deal with them anyway. And that's exactly what Srila Prabhupada did, following the order of his superior, Arya Vachasa. Athapi te deva padambujadvaya prashadaleshanugrahita eva hi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanye kopi chiran vichinvan. When Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya challenged Gopinath Acharya about Lord Chaitanya's being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Gopinath Acharya quoted this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 10, chapter number 14, shloka number 29. The purport is that one cannot know the Supreme Lord unless he is favored with at least a slight drop of his mercy. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, shall I pick it?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah,
Now you can continue.
we'll do the poll for a moment. We request devotees to please.
One thing I can request you, I will read just 84th page, then you can continue afterwards.
Yes,
It's
that
going to start the new title.
please, Prabhuji.
Gopinath said that even though the Bhattacharya was such a great scholar, his knowledge was useless because he could not recognize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was residing in his house. Similarly, without the mercy of Krishna, even so called learned scholars of Vaishnavism cannot appreciate the exalted position of Srila Prabhupada. Kwaham daridra papiyan kwa Krishna Shri Niketanaha Brahma Bandhuriti smaham bahubhyam Pariprambhitaha. Who am I? A sinful, poor friend of a Brahmana. And who is Krishna? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, full in 6 opulences. Nonetheless, he has embraced me with his 2 arms. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 81, Shloka number 16. Who am I? The friend of Malichas. Who is Srila Prabhupada? The friend of Krishna. Still, he so kindly embraced me. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
So, Vrindavan Prabhu will the polling.
Yeah. Please take some moments to do the polling. Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu has put some polls. Jai Jagannath. Good. So we'll start the reading. You can again go back to the poll. Srila Prabhupada's presentation of Shastras. Srila Prabhupada did not present Shastra as a dry academic subject to be theorized, discussed, and armchair philosophized about. Instead of giving abstruse explanation, he spoke and lived the essence of Shastra. He repeatedly emphasized the point of all Shastra: you are not this body, surrender to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada said that by reading his books, we get in touch with the previous acharyas. Indeed, his purports to the Shastra draw on the realization of the previous acharyas, whose commentaries Prabhupada consulted before composing his own. A special feature of Prabhupada's purport, however, is that he was the first to show how the Bhagavatam's principle can be practically applied in human society to effect a major change in the course of world history. Also, for the first time ever, he comprehensively presented Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, replete with all subtleties and complexities, in a non Indian language. Thus, Prabhupada's explanation of Vedic philosophy in simple, clear, and uncomplicated English is an unprecedented achievement in literary history. English is a Mleccha Bhash, language of meat eaters, but Srila Prabhupada purified it. Quoting Prabhupada's purport is as authorized as quoting from the original Sanskrit Shastras. The words of the Acharya are, in one sense, even more valuable than the original Shastras, because without the Acharya's explanations, ordinary people would not be able to understand the meaning of Shastras. Srila Prabhupada's lectures were simple, straightforward, Bhagavad philosophy. His kirtans were also simple, just Hare Krishna, no showy frills. We prefer Prabhupada's singing to any of dozens of styles of melodious kirtans. And while there are many accomplished devotee speakers, there's a special attractive quality to Prabhupada's lectures. It is not just because of affection for Srila Prabhupada that we prefer to hear him, but also because we feel his intense purity and compassion manifest from his direct link to Krishna. We fully trust that his words are infallibly correct and spoken for our upliftment. Prabhupada is speaking to all, yet we feel that he is talking to us individually and personally as well. Like Sukdev Goswami, we can enter the heart of everyone. Like Sukdev Goswami, he can enter the heart of everyone. My purports are liked by people because it is presented as practical experience. On Srila Prabhupada's coming to the West, devotees of Lord Krishna take pleasure in recounting his wonderful pastimes. Those pastimes purify the heart, attract the mind, and give solace to devotees suffering in separation from their beloved Lord. Because Krishna's pastimes are of spiritual nature, they can be told again and again and constantly remembered without becoming stale. Indeed, the more they are relished, the more they become fresh. The pastime of Lord's pure devotees are of the same quality. And just as some devotees, according to their taste, take special pleasure in certain pastimes of the Lord, so the various pastimes of the pure devotees of the Lord, such as Srila Prabhupada, are variously relished by his followers. I am simply fascinated by Prabhupada's having come to America. The bringing of Krishna consciousness to the West is probably the most amazing, unlikely, and glorious event in the history of the world. For so many long years, the West has developed a civilization based on ignorance, sin, and suffering. Then, for the first time in its history, Srila Prabhupada brought real and complete knowledge to the West. So called Vedantists and yogis had come before him with Indianized editions of the same illusion which was afflicting the West. They had simply brought sense gratification in another guise. But at last, Srila Prabhupada brought the real thing, the nectar we were hankering for. Since the passing of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the idea of preaching in the West had all but been forgotten. However, Lord Chaitanya was constantly thinking about it, and all the previous acharyas were thinking about it. They anxiously thought, when will the day come when Mahaprabhu's prophecy will be fulfilled? How long will the world suffer without Lord Chaitanya's Prema Sankirtana? Then Prabhupada ventured forth, carrying the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the blessings of the acharyas as his baggage. Such boldness, such courage, such adventurous spirit, such lack of concern for personal well being, such determination, such compassion, such fearlessness, and such faith in the protection of Krishna. Prabhupada's having come alone and unaccompanied demonstrated his mood of self reliance, his get on with the job spirit, and his being in a class distinct from others. Even if Srila Prabhupada had been unsuccessful, his coming shows that he was in a different mood than any of the thousands of other Vaishnavas in India. All of us were going to hell, but it didn't seem to matter to anyone else. Most Vaishnavas were content with eating, sleeping, performing their own sadhana, and perhaps giving a few speeches here and there. But Prabhupada's heart was tortured with compassion. He begged his god brothers to help him, but despite their having institutions, prestige, followers, and knowledge, none of them dared or cared to help. So Bhaktivedanta Swami waited no longer for any of them to make a move, but made his own instead. He was not the head of an institution. He had no support, manpower, or money. No one cared where he lived or died. But I have to try anyway. My spiritual master has ordered. Even Lord Chaitanya expressed his inability to spread the Sankirtan movement alone. Even he, the Supreme Lord himself, had assistants, Sangopangastra Parshadam, but Prabhupada had none. Since his going alone to the cold, unknown shores of the West is the most courageous act in the history of Vaishnavism. It demonstrates his complete fearlessness and faith in the protection of Krishna. When Srila Prabhupada got on that ship, no one took him seriously. They questioned, "What will you, an old man, do in America?" "I will make the Americans chant Hare Krishna and dance in ecstasy." Impossible. Even the Indians are not interested. So, how will Americans be? And Prabhupada later said that what he had accomplished far exceeded his expectations. But as he wrote on Boston Pier, Sakale Sambhava hoye tumi se kautuki. By your mercy, Krishna, everything is possible. No one cared for him, but Prabhupada cared for everyone. Otherwise, why would he attempt the impossible? He did not even care that no one cared for him. He knew that Krishna cared for him, and he wanted everyone to care for Krishna. While crossing the ocean, Srila Prabhupada read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and preached to the crew. Then came two heart attacks. But Krishna came in a dream and said, "Don't worry, I'm rowing your boat." Prabhupada also wrote poems talking to Krishna. Then he landed and his American adventures began. Oh, my dear spiritual master, I thank you so much for having taken the trouble to come to save us. How can we ever forget your kindness upon us? That tacky old ship at Boston Harbor Pier just happened to have an elderly Swami on board. A little unusual, perhaps, but it's not news to anyone except Gopal and Sally Agarwal, who extend the politeness of hosting him for few weeks. Stepping ashore, an old learned Bengali sadhu dressed in a saffron colored cloth humbly enters America in like a needle. The world would never be the same again. Where were all of us then? I was an 8-year-old kid with no idea about anything. Prabhupada's followers were scattered all over the world, with not even the slightest idea of the great fortune which would soon causelessly fill up their empty lives. And many who have now dedicated their lives to that humble sadhu were not yet born. So it's 1966, and this old Bengali sadhu, Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami, walks among the jaded, faded, hair down, mind gone, wild beat generation on the streets of New York's Lower East Side. Prabhupada went among the fuzzheads, freaks, and hippies, refugees from a godless, greed torn civilization, and presented the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. His contemporaries in Vrindavan and the staid, righteous sannyasis of the Gaudiya Math would have been shocked. They would have had nothing to do with these dirty, irreverent Malechas. That's for sure. But here he is, Bhaktivedanta Swami, down among the hippies, picking up gold from a filthy place, confident with his ching ching, ching, and Hare Krishna, confident of his ching 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 and Hare Krishna, giving the change, all be different, a revolution that even they could never have imagined. None of his god brothers could have tolerated the hardships which Srila Prabhupada underwent. He so tolerantly lived with and even served the Western Malechas, who, out of ignorance, constantly did things guaranteed to disturb any cultured Vaishnava. Devoid of refinement or any kind of Krishna consciousness, other than the rudiments which they were gradually learning by Srila Prabhupada, so patiently teaching them. they nevertheless had faith in him. And Prabhupada had faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. Deenahina jatachilo hari name udarilo. Even the most fallen will be saved by the holy name. Therefore, he tolerated their uncouth behavior. He did not see American malechas. He saw jivas, servant of Krishna. He did not reject his followers for weakness or foolishness born of immaturity. Prabhupada demonstrated the efficacy of bhakti yoga in circumstances more adverse than any previous preachers of bhakti had ever faced. He had patience, extreme tolerance, born of deep compassion for the fallen souls, and faith in the power of the holy name. Srila Prabhupada found something vital and real amidst the madness of hippie life. Permeating the confusion was a spiritual surge, a dissatisfaction with the status quo, an endeavor for the mystical, for the truth beyond the humdrum. The hippies had been through it all: drugs, booze, free sex, music, and meditation. But Krishna conscious was something else, brought by a person who seemed as if from another planet, from an from an unimagined plane of existence that revealed their attempts at consciousness expansion to be puerile and insignificant. Like, like most other people, the hippies were not intrinsically bad, just misguided. They'd seen through the nastiness of straight life and were looking for something better. Lacking proper guidance, they had turned down the blind alley of gross sense gratification. But for all the newness and euphoria of their crazy life, it was just as unfulfilling as the establishment they had already rejected. Swamiji, however, had something genuine, and he surely was not a straight. The hippies thrived on being different, but Prabhupada outdid them all. He had sharing, simplicity, color, joy, and love, all essential elements of the hippie counterculture. But he also brought substance, direction, knowledge, and purity. He had Krishna. And he had music. Prabhupada was all about music, kirtan. Music was the sacred beginning, middle, and end of hippie life. From the internationally famous bands to the street side guitarist, music was an expression of being, of struggle, of lust, frustration, pain, hope, and longing. Music was both a message and a question, a quest for understanding and a plea to be understood. Swamiji's music was new. No one had ever played stuff like that. Every note, every word was magical, an intense, mystical outpouring of the vital inner self. Man, is this hip? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Simple, simple rhythm, simple tune, again and again, over and over, half an hour, 1 hour, more. Swami step, trance dance. This transcendental sound vibration is imported from the spiritual world. Far out, what does it do to you? Sometimes the devotees faint, sometimes they roll on the ground, and sometimes they shiver in ecstasy while chanting the holy names. Chanting and chanting, they give up their material bodies and go to the spiritual land of Raja, where talking is singing, walking is dancing, and everyone's heart is stolen by a beautiful blackish cowherd boy. Glancing mischievously at the gopis, he fills up the holes of his flute with nectarian sound that stun all living beings within the three worlds. Through music and diligent concern, Srila Prabhupada did what everyone else had given up on. He reached the hearts of the hippies and gave them direction. Prabhupada was serious, and the more intelligent among the hippies gradually realized that he wanted them to follow him and also become serious about Krishna consciousness. Still, no one had any idea as to exactly how serious Prabhupada really was. No one understood why he incorporated the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. What was all about when Krishna consciousness was just a rented storefront on the Lower East Side? Brahmananda and company were shocked when Srila Prabhupada left for San Francisco, but Prabhupada had big plans. His magic worked again in San Francisco, and gradually it started working all over the world. Prabhupada spread his charm by sending his disciples here and there. They were young boys and girls, dropped out from everything, saved by Prabhupada from voluntary drug induced brain destruction. They didn't know much about Krishna consciousness, about anything, but now they were different. No longer hippies, but happies. Srila Prabhupada had inspired a faith in them that made the Krishna magic work even without his personal presence. And by that faith, his disciples brought Guru and Krishna with them. Prabhupada was proud of his householder disciples who succeeded in London, where his sannyasi godbrothers had failed. Indeed, these householders, fresh out of hippie life, with no background of Indian culture, and who were certainly not learned Vedic scholars, and startled London with the Krishna chant. And so the story unfolded. Srila Prabhupada strode across the globe and, like a great general, sent men here and there to spread the Krishna message. It is a great story whose chapters are still being written, and in the future, people will look back on these formative years of ISKCON and think, oh, how I wish I could have been there then. How exciting it must have been. All of Prabhupada's activities were amazing. Yet those first days in America held a special sweetness and significance. None of us knows how intense was the struggle, nor how severe were the difficulties that Srila Prabhupada underwent for establishing the Krishna consciousness movement in the West. But Prabhupada knows, his Guru Maharaj knows, and Krishna knows. Let's all remember Srila Prabhupada's pastimes and thus become purified and happy. I especially pray that Prabhupada's Leela of coming to the West be ever manifest in my heart. Let me remember his sacrifice so that I may not become selfish. Let me remember his tolerance that I may become tolerant. All glories to Srila Prabhupada's coming to the West. All glories to your divine lotus feet, Srila Prabhupada. Please keep a place for me there always. Prajapati, Srila Prabhupada, why has it taken so long for a pure devotee to come to the West? Has the West been so sinful that no pure devotee has come before your divine grace? Srila Prabhupada laughs. Don't be sorry. At the time you were so sinful that you could not receive a pure devotee. Girl, Srila Prabhupada, would you please explain why Krishna consciousness hadn't come to the West until now? Why it hasn't come earlier? Srila Prabhupada, because you were not born. After your birth, we have come here to take you back home, back to Godhead. Now you take the opportunity. Come with us. We are waiting for your birth. Why did Srila Prabhupada come to the West? It's my duty. My spiritual master ordered me. Summer of 1986, I was alone, a tiny soul in saffron cloth, in the grimy streets of central London. Suddenly, I thought, what if I had to come here by myself? What if there were no temple, no devotees, and no worldwide movement? What if I were the only one who knew about Krishna and I had to preach single handedly? Could I do anything? I pondered the possibility for a second before being slammed with reality. No, I continued to walk the cold, uncaring streets, my heart marveling in newfound appreciation of Srila Prabhupada. Gives goosebumps. Huh? A holy place in New York. What's the most sacred place? Well, Vrindavan, of course, or Mayapur, Kurukshetra. Others will say Prayag, Naimisharanya, Pushkar, or elsewhere. There are hundreds and thousands of holy places, some well known, others less so, in the sacred land of Bharat Varsha. Yet, for the followers of Srila Prabhupada, there's one extra special holy place, not found in any ordinary list of sacred sites, situated down among the dirt, bumps, and sleaze of New York's Lower East Side, where Prabhupada first did the impossible, 26th 2nd Avenue, a hallowed spot among the bustles and fumes. Those momentously historic events of 1966 did not then startle the world, although the East Village Other and the Village Voice ran articles. The hippies took those events to be just one more among many new and far out happenings. Otherwise, life in New York went on as usual. The world did not knew about Bhaktivedanta Swami, nor was it much interested. Srila Prabhupada was the only person on the planet who had any inkling of the tremendous import of his ching 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 in the converted storefront. The greatest David and Goliath story ever was unfolding. How Prabhupada took on the materialistic civilization and won. Krishna Kshetra Prabhu writes about 26 2nd Avenue. I think that for all of us who are now trying to follow in your footsteps, disciples, grand disciples, and friends, your first temple in America at 26 2nd Avenue in New York City holds special significance. At least for me, this modest storefront is a symbol of your personal victory, a symbol of your undaunted commitment to the order of your spiritual master. It is a symbol of the victory of the Krishna consciousness movement over the unmatched odds of Kali Yuga materialism, which has been gnawing away at human culture for the last 5,000 years. I never saw you personally at 26 2nd Avenue, but I like to think of it as your permanent place of residence, a place of pilgrimage from where your mercy expands into my heart. Indeed, over the years, trying to serve you and become Krishna conscious, I have come to feel your presence in that particular scene. My heart, a New York City, a concrete and plastic jungle, a vast morass of doubts, delusions, and depression contains a relief agency, a 26 2nd Avenue, your preaching center, where you are seated, patiently offering me the matchless gift of mercy. You are always there, always available to accept my humble obeisances and service and to preach to me, freely giving your inexhaustible inspiration. We can just read one last page. Srila Prabhupada benedicts the world. Just by being present on this planet, Srila Prabhupada benefited so many people, even without their knowing. For example, as Prabhupada states in Nectar of Devotion, the inventor of the dictaphone is benefited by its being used by Prabhupada in Krishna's service. Once a newspaper reporter challenged Prabhupada, "You say that all these modern inventions like airplanes are useless, but you also use them." Srila Prabhupada responded, "Yes, now that I am using your plane, it is useful. Otherwise, it was useless." Similarly, all those involved in producing cars, radios, cloth, food, newspapers, and so many other things that Srila Prabhupada used were benedicted indirectly. And what to speak of those who directly saw him or heard him, even once? And what of those who actually served him, even for few days, or a few years, or of those who will serve him in the future? And what of those who give their lives to him? With this, I think it's a good meditation to stop here.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Thank you to all devotees for anchoring